what eventually emerged from these experimentations, investigations, whatever you want to call them, after the key thing, was a practice or a philosophy, I suppose you could call it, called mythogeography. And they wrote a book called Mythogeography, which you should take a look at. Now, although the book doesn't actually have a single author, the original Mythogeography manifesto was written by Phil Smith, so it's generally accepted that Wrights and Sites and Phil Smith are the ones that are sort of behind writing the Mythogeography book and the Mytho movement as a whole. So basically, Mythogeography, I'm going to talk a little bit about this concept because it's the key idea of how they felt you can get sites to start performing themselves as opposed to you just using them as a backdrop. So I'm wanting to talk a little bit more about mythogeography and try and have a wee brief sort of touch on what that's all about. So mythogeography is a mixture of thoughts and actions which are presented with the intention that they are tried and tested practically through walking, through the action of walking. Quote from the book: mythogeography is the setting in motion about each other of the multiple meanings of any site. Okay? Misguidance is the act of revealing, animating or performing these multiplicities, okay, by setting them into motion, best when they can perform themselves. Okay? So the interest of what we remember, the potential of a psychic geography, unlocked the door to a potential geography. Now, psychogeography is like a whole other area that I haven't delved too much into, but there is a plethora of materials out there talking about psychogeography and the way that we perceive and imagine the sort of environment as we travel through it. And potential geography is the geography of what might be. Yeah, that's like the imagined world around us. Okay. And what Wrights and Sites discovered when they started doing these kinds of experimentations, kind of coming from that psychogeography movement, was that there was a lot of people who were interested in the idea of a reimagining of the city. Okay, that there was a matrix, what they would call a matrix of explorers and walkers, that endorsed the idea. Okay. And they called them the custodians of the remaking of space. Okay, so Smith states that one of the main problems with the key thing is the way that actors turned into signposts. The actors were turned into signposts, and they simply drew attention to what is unseen, ignored, and already there. Superfluous spaces, maintenance hole archaeologies, edgelands, banal spaces, accidental museums, urban sheep tracks, Z-worlds, and doubly inauthentic spaces. What the mythogeography movement though is really trying to do is it's trying to achieve the opposite. It's trying to turn signposts into actors. So it's not a case whereby the actors are the ones who, it's not about the people that are performing necessarily, like they would be the ones that would sort of make the world or create those sorts of things, but instead they want to make the actors the signposts that are directing the attention back onto the site again. They don't mean literally turn actors into signposts. They mean it more as they want the actors to really bring out the nuances of the site, to do that. So how do they do that then? How do they sort of draw on this mytho world, this psychogeography that they're really interested in? How do they reimagine the city? How do they reimagine space? If that's their core aims, what is it that they try and do to achieve that goal. Now there's a number of things that I'm not going to talk about, two in particular that I should draw attention to, that if you're interested in Wrights and Sites, go and have a look at it. The first is crab walking and the second is drifting. Right, two related walking practices which are designed to help you strip down the sort of common associations that we have to the places that we live in, and help us to reimagine these spaces that we walk through every single day and sort of blank out. Both crab walking and drifting are sort of methodologies that you might use to help get towards a new understanding of space, and that you might employ every single day just to make your journeys better. Okay, so not even necessarily a creative practice, but more just a general best practice for life, basically. I'm not going to focus on them because it will take me too long. I'm going to skip straight to their misguides, because I think the misguides are really the result. Yeah, they're like the output that Wrights and Sites got to eventually, through multiple drifts through towns and cities, reimagining all these different places and really putting to test their ideas of this sort of psychogeography and stuff like that. What really emerged was this idea of a misguide,